let's go ahead.
Okay, I just want to bring you up to date on a couple of things. We had some damage to our property at the health department, and I got some pictures here. And I think the guy that did it's going to pay for it, but I just wanted you to see it. He wasn't a very good semi-driver.
Oh. I'm sure you're talking about vandalism.
He was delivering some stuff, and on the east side, he drove over the only bush that survived the drought, broke it up. And J.J. Fotzer was over there, and he said he thought he hit our building. So I went out and took pictures of the guttering, and it looked like that.
Yeah.
And it was crinkled. So I called the police to make a report. I know it's just private property, and he said, oh, I think that's old because the paint's not scratched.
This is the detective that said this.
The detective, yes. So anyway, I thought, okay, well, fine.
This is like
Show you the
modern
rest
art, I
of
don't
it.
know which side's up.
Which side's up? It flips around when you do that.
I know.
Oh, okay. So anyway, I thought, well, maybe not.
You
Who
haven't seen
knows?
it?
I've seen it.
Let's see, around that post, was the bush
So
that
anyway-
close to the edge too then?
The bush is clear over by the fence.
Oh, we went through around, hit the other side, did it?
Pretty much. Anyway, so then my sprinkler system wouldn't work. And so I got to checking on that, and you can see where he drove down the west side, because it was hot, one of those hot days. You can see his tire track into the grass. See it?
Mm-hmm.
And he ran over one of my sprinklers and broke the pipe.
So he went around the building?
Yeah. Came
But
in the
you
back,
don't
dropped
usually-
off his stuff.
How come, did he usually do that? Think it
But
was
it was
semi,
during noon hours, see, nobody there.
I don't know enough room to turn around in even.
So anyway, he broke that pipe and the rest of them wouldn't do anything
That's
except,
pretty obvious, because that's probably old track right in there for a while.
no. So anyway, we got it fixed, and I don't know, that, they had to repair it, and that's the repair picture.
So what was he delivering, cotton balls?
Car seats. So I've talked
It's
to
a lot
Mr.
of car seats, comes in the semi.
It was, yeah, we got like, they come in great big boxes, we got like 20 of them. So it's got repaired, and Mr. Safety Officer's supposed to pay the bill. Just FYI. Am I going back? I got something else to show.
No, maybe.
I want to see what the hurricane is.
Remind me, I should
That's fine, you can do that. But this morning, I was out riding my bike, and I do ride early, and I saw this, and it really irritated me to no end. That is a trash dump out on 50 Highway. Did you see that?
Where's that?
50 Highway?
No, I didn't come in that way.
I'm gonna go back out and go through the sacks of trash and see if I can figure it
Didn't
out. I've got a
find-
check stub already.
If you
Out
find a
of
ticket or
trash.
something, yeah, that used to be,
Can
we
we
used
get
to
it
find people dump trash
prosecuted?
along the road
Huh?
and farm. We used to find people that way, and they'd forget to take their mail, their envelopes out of there, you know.
Yeah, exactly. I've got
Yeah.
a check stub already. I
Okay.
found in the dark, so I don't know what I'm gonna find anymore. I'm very angry about
How
that.
good a mattress is there? Just asking.
But it might even be somebody from Barton County. It might be another county thing, because there was a thing in there, thank you for paying your bill from the Great Bend electric utility thing. I don't know, maybe somebody who's visiting and just used the trash, but I'm going back out there when I get done here and go through the trash. You think we'd get a prosecutor?
We'll try.
Can't hurt to try.
Think the sheriff will get it.
Well, you brought Sherry.
I'm so mad over that. Oh, I was so angry when I saw it. I couldn't believe it. Okay, well, we've got some big changes coming up in the immunization program. I'll just give you a history for people that don't know. Right now, we have private vaccine we purchase for insured people. We have state vaccine for people on medical cards, uninsured, and right now underinsured. Okay? We have to do the investigation when they come in to determine which little pot you take the vaccine out of. And we make them sign a paper that says, yes, we have insurance, or no, we don't have insurance. Well, starting, is it October 1st, I think? Yes, beginning October 1st, Section 317 vaccine may not be used for routine vaccination of any fully insured individual. Okay, underinsured means their insurance does not cover vaccines, they cap vaccines at a certain amount, or they don't pay for certain vaccines. That's underinsured. Right now, up to October 1st, we've had the leeway of also saying if you have a $5,000 deductible, we felt that was underinsured. No more. If that $5,000 had been reached, they consider you fully insured. You get private vaccine, you pay the full price. So,
But only if you've reached that amount at the time of the vaccine? Oh.
it could be at 0, and you're going to have to pay the full price. People come in, they can get 4 or 5 vaccines at $600. They're going to have to pay it that day. I'm not giving it away, and I'm not trusting people to pay it either. But the rest of the story is to be able to give the 317 vaccine, which 317 is not the vaccine for children. It is some federal money that comes to the state for these underinsured people. And it's all thrown into the BFC pot. I wouldn't be able to tell you which vaccines in the refrigerator are 317 and which are BFC. It's just the funds buy all of this stuff. We have to be deputized now by a rural health clinic or federally qualified clinic to be able to give these 317 vaccines to underinsured individuals. We have a rural health clinic in Stafford County. It doesn't qualify because they don't give BFC vaccines, so I have to find somebody to sponsor me. We sent out a list, and there's nobody in Edwards County, Reno County, Pratt County. Barton County has St. Joseph Family Medicine, and they have Clare Barton Medical Clinic. So I have to approach these people and say, would you please sign this paper and deputize me so I can give vaccines to underinsured. We can skip the deputization part, but then those people also have to pay full price. So
This comes down from our state government.
this came, well, they're blaming it on the CDC, Center for Disease Control, but yeah. So up to now, we've kind of had the leeway of saying, well, you have a huge deductible, you have major medical only, I consider that underinsured for children. If you have a huge deductible or major medical only, and we call the insurance company, and we said, okay, so if this $5,000 was reached, would you pay for it? And they said, yeah, we pay it, 80-20 or whatever. If it was reached, you have to tell the people that. So there's going to be people saying, I'm not going to do that. I don't have $700 to do that. So I'm not very excited about this. So I'm going to send this lady, I think St. Joseph Family Practice is our best shot, because we do have a couple of kids who go there. The lady I talked to at Topeka said, well, why don't you tell St. Joseph that you'll just refer kids to them as they'll sign in? Isn't that kind of like kickback?
Yeah.
Is that legal? I don't know.
So the other counties that you mentioned will have to,
They're going to have to find somebody too. Yeah. And I know that, like Barton County, they're not going to have a problem. But Edwards
well, what
County-
about this new clinic they started up in Hutch? It's called
Prairie Star?
Horizon.
Horizon.
I think.
It's not mental. That's not on the list. It's not
Because I
on the
noticed
list.
there's a new family practitioner that just joined in.
Yeah, well, it doesn't have the BFC.
Well, that's true.
Yeah. There's
So how
Prairie
many-
Star. Prairie Star's on here. In Hutch.
So how many clients, Doris, does this involve?
For me,
Yes.
not very many. They're saying like 11% of the children in the United States are underinsured. And a lot of it's because the insurance policies they have haven't caught up with the new regulations yet. They're grandfathered in and they haven't made any changes. And even some of the Blue Cross plans that we come across, because we call on everybody, we need to know. Some of them haven't caught up. There's several, some of them that work at Maxwell schools that don't cover their insurance 100% out of their deductible.
But yet these children are required to be vaccinated before they can start school.
That's $700 now.
Could be.
Well, if you look at,
You get one
Not
actor.
per child.
Uh-huh.
yeah.
Wow.
Man.
Uh-huh. It can, yeah. You get $125 Menactra, and you get $125 varicella, and you get a Hep A, and you get an HPV. You're
And
right
these
up
are all
there.
required to go to
Well,
school.
the HPV isn't, but they're recommended, they're required.
The pharmaceutical companies ought to be surprised that you would have a problem enough donated. Well, they make so much money anyhow.
They're so funny. So I'm just telling you, because I know Barton County had a situation when this whole thing first started where they apparently had somebody that came in that had a $700 bill, and the lady wrote a check, and then she went to commissioners and wiped her head off, because she thought it was terrible. But you have to stand firm, you cannot give this stuff away. So you've got to be, and we tell them up front, it's gonna cost you X amount of dollars, and we want the payment today, and stand back, because they're gonna be owed.
And you don't anticipate this affecting very many of our kids?
There's a few. I can think of two that their insurance is. That I've called on before, and they say we don't cover any vaccines, so we called them they are underinsured, and we gave them DFC.
They're
They can't do
okay.
that anymore
No.
after October 1st. Call them up and say, get in here.
Get your
before
butt in there, huh?
Yeah, get in here before October 1st. So anyway, I have to approach these people that I don't even know. I was gonna send her an email and say, what do you think? 'Cause then they said, well, maybe you can get Dr. Farmer to do BSC, and I just started laughing. It ain't gonna happen. I thought if there's one in Pratt, that might be kinda handy, but anyway, they come back from Stinks. Have to have it in by September 15th, so they can send it to the CDC, so the CDC can sign off and send it back on October 1st.
And these are the people that provided the refrigerator, the biological refrigerator. CDC did, or an arm
No,
of
I think
CDC.
What did I get that with? I got that with somebody's
Grant, you
money.
got a grant somewhere?
Huh?
You got a grant from someone, did you?
I think they had some money in there. I don't remember now who I bought it, whose money I bought that with.
But it was government provided.
Because that was, you have to have a pharmaceutical grade,
Right.
which has been a really good purchase for me. So,
Keeps the watermelons cold.
it does. Weird.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I read through this all Friday, and I thought, well, first when I read it, I thought, oh, piece of cake, Dr. Farmer's an RHC, he'll sign me, because he's, in 2000, because that's what she said, well, who signed you off in 2004? And I said, Dr. Farmer. I don't know if they didn't know he didn't give you a DFC or what, so we might have been illegal all this time, I don't know. But I read through it, and I thought, oh, I got one more piece of. And then, in addition, they want you to document who you talked to when you called the insurance company, what they said, what time of day it was, and keep that with the permanent record. Because we get audited. We just had our audit, 2 weeks ago, and there was no corrective action needed. We did really good. And she looked through all of our records. And we have those papers we make them sign and say, yes, I have a medical card, or yes, I'm fully insured, or yes, I will pay this bill because I have no insurance.
was really encouraging.
It is, isn't it? Yeah. Real happy. So just letting you know that, it's coming up.
So you got any good news? Cheerful things?
No, I want an executive session too. 20 minutes for personnel.
I have a question.
Okay.
I noticed in the paper that the landfill doesn't accept, in the Courier, there was a little notice that the landfill does not accept medical waste.
I do.
Well, my question is, I was reading an article about people who handle trash should be vaccinated against hepatitis B.
They should.
So I was thinking about, Michael, should we offer that,
Michael,
or the
yes,
building?
you should. You really should, especially since he's swabbing toilets and things like that.
And so if he were to say, no, I don't want it.
He signs a declaration.
Okay.
I have that too.
So-
That way if something happens, which is, the chances are like pretty good.
Right.
But you got to come back.
Margaret Sims, I'll do it.
So,
Yay! Wow.
so what do? We just,
Send him out?
you tell him and,
Send him out, and I guess send him to you.
Sure.
No, I'm serious.
Yeah.
Does he have his own budget, or it comes to you?
and should there be
Good
anyone
idea.
else?
Well, all of your sheriff's departments ought to be covered. They all be brought up with their TDAPs and their Hep Ds.
Is Darren your solid waste guy?
Yeah, because he,
Anybody that could, like cops could come in contact with potentially infectious material, like blood or sputum or vomit, or they all ought to be taken care of.
You got all the EMS people, right?
They're
Yeah,
taken.
they are.
Darren.
You think Darren is?
I have no idea.
Or we need
It was
to-
just
we
a
need to
thought
make
that
sure.
occurred to me, because, they were talking about this joker that had been out to Hayes, and infected people with
He has
hepatitis C.
He's
That's
got
C, yes.
yeah.
But then I was thinking also about, what if a syringe is dropped in the trash here in the courthouse? You'd think not, but there's always a possibility,
Yeah. It's a good thing to
especially
do.
on Fridays,
Fridays.
court day.
What's on your
Shut
side?
up before you go up and carry. I get enough crap.
Way too much fun on
Well, if we
Friday.
have,
No, it's tough.
people using the elevator as a restroom, wouldn't surprise me.
We had
No,
all
it
the
wouldn't
sheriff
surprise me
deputies
either.
and stuff
So-
should be
Trying to
vaccinated.
get into the
Would,
phone,
would you
nothing
follow up
surprises
on
me.
that, or
On
would-
Darren or whom?
on Darren and Michael and,
And the deputies, I think all the
And the
sheriff's
deputies.
departments should be vaccinated.
Well, and you also need to find out from Philip who else goes out there. Because, occasionally,
Did you see the picture?
Gary has.
Well, most there's
somebody
not C and D out there.
well, but what I was
Well,
thinking is it was
you never know.
recycling.
I know, whoever does
Whoever
that
works the
recycle stuff,
recycle,
because
yeah.
they've been finding needles in it.
Yes.
And that's why the ad was.
Okay.
Oh, that's right, recycle stuff, okay, yeah, something
And
about
So anybody
recycle
that
stuff.
touches that recycle,
Yeah, I'm thinking, I remember recycle.
Is that
That'd be
the
right,
ad?
that
Was
was
that-
stuff.
You wanna see? It's pretty.
I see it quite often by my house.
You see that? I'm used to seeing cans and drink cups and,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
can get about
that's right.
1 to 2 miles out of town, deposit there, so.
You ought to be able to get DNA off those
I
mattresses.
found their names, times of them, but then we'll do everything
Okay,
about
that
it.
Not
was
me,
nasty.
that's even a
I can
really
get
bad
epithelials.
problem.
I can do 30 minutes later know who did it and how they did it,
Yeah.
yeah.
They don't know who they're messing with.
Okay, who's gonna put a motion for her time?
How long, say?
20 minutes should do it.
Okay, I think motion to go to executive session for 20 minutes, George, what, non-elected personnel?
Personnel.
I'll second that motion.
Been moved and seconded, we'll go into executive session for 20 minutes for non-elected personnel. All in favor, say aye.
What's that? Okay, you want to do
You
the,
can amend the motion.
You gonna amend that motion?
I'd like an executive session for 20 minutes for personnel, and I'd like the new commissioners-elect to be present as well. Does that work?
okay, I make that motion.
And I will second it again.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we amend the motion to allow the new commissioner-elect to attend. All in favor, say aye.
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 Hi.
Good morning.
Well, again, my name's Amy Boxberger with Community Corrections, and I'm here today to discuss with you a couple of reports that need your approval prior to my submitting it to the Department of Corrections. The first report that I'm giving you is the fiscal year 2013 carryover reimbursement plan. And our reimbursements are fees that we collect by our offenders and for services, whether it's for drug and alcohol testing or for our treatment program, Gateway to Recovery. And so last year, we collected $78,113.17. And so we are, our plan for the year, the majority of the money, almost $75,000, is to pay for our counselors' salary and benefits. We have 2 counselors that we employ with those fees, and so we also have some odds and end funding for travel, training, our rent for our building, and so forth. So it's pretty cut and dry. That's typically how we spend our money that we collect, so I'd be happy to answer any questions if you have it, otherwise I'd ask.
Just want to explain what you do. We've got 2 new
Oh, sure.
commissioners elected.
Oh, okay, hi.
Shane Comments and Kirk Churchill.
Hello, nice to meet you. Okay, Sure. Sure. Well, should I turn around? We are, we provide intensive supervision services for the 20th Judicial District, which is Barton, Rice, Ellsworth, Russell, and Stafford counties. And those are people that do not go to prison. They try to engage with services with us as an intensive probation program so that hopefully they change behavior and don't go to prison. And so we try to show that there's a big bang for the buck to put money into our program so that we don't have to spend it for them in prison. And even if they do go to prison, let's face it, these are our homegrown folks and they come back. And so we want to try to do as much and that we can to change their habits and change behavior. So, and one of those things that we do, we provide drug and alcohol services. They pay for those. And we are also contracted with the state to provide those services. We have 2 counselors that we employ, and we do not fund those through our grant. We fund them through our local reimbursements, which is what our carryover reimbursement plan is. And so I did receive a little bit of funding, about $15,000, to provide for one of the counselors to provide some other cognitive classes for our offenders that are not engaged in the treatment program. And so that helped us financially to help keep them employed. So, and for us to have those services. So, you know, I've always told these offenders, you know, no one expects you to change just because somebody in a black robe came and told you you had to. And it's a good thought, but unfortunately that's just not how it works. And so we have to kind of be responsive to the why you keep getting in trouble, why are you not changing these behaviors, and try to provide those services so that they can. So kind of in a nutshell, that's what we do.
What's the qualifications of the 2 people that you have that supervise those people?
For supervision, that we employ their bachelor's degree, usually social sciences degrees, and we go through extensive training as far as how we do assessments on the offenders when they come in the program to measure what their risks are, what they've got going from them, and try to capitalize on what their strengths are and try to minimize risks. We also go through training as far as motivational interviewing, try to get us to talk less and listen more, and try to have them see what the issue is, because it's easy for me to say, you're not working, that's why you keep stealing, you know, but that sometimes that concept is lost in translation, so we have to get them to come to it. And so a lot of our training has to do with that, and for, you know, somebody else to realize, or teach them how to realize their own risk. So we also, the counselors are, have accreditations for them to be counselors through the, well, they just changed, it's called BSRB, Behavioral Sciences, and I'm drawing a blank now. They just changed in July. Changed over, but they are accredited with either LC, licensed clinical addictions counselors, or licensed addiction counselors. So that provide for these. So I'm sorry to keep my back to you.
It's all right.
But yeah, there's.
Okay.
If you ever have any questions, call me. I'm always happy to talk risk reduction, and if you have any questions or ideas, maybe something. Sometimes it's hard for us to see the forest through the trees. So you know, we always like to get new ideas and try things out. And you know, human behavior is always intriguing. I think that's what keeps us, you know, doing our job, and the success stories, hopefully, is what keeps us motivated. So, anyway. So if there's any questions on the carryover reimbursement plan, I'd be happy to answer, and if not, I'd ask for your approval to submit.
I'm curious as to why we would have to approve this.
This is
All the counties
yes.
that you represent do this?
Correct. And I think it's just to keep the local investment, and so that you know what we're doing, and we don't end up, you know.
But it's not just Stafford County?
No. I've been to Russell and Ellsworth last week. I'm going to Rice County after I leave here, and I'll go to Barton County.
What happens if one of them says no?
Cry, beg, please. No. I think that we have had, there was something that happened years ago. One time years ago when I first started, it seemed like there was some controversy over in Rice County. I can't really remember the particulars, but I would hope that it would be since the majority of the counties, then we would be okay. And I think on the that we would have on the record. But yeah, generally I'd probably just plead.
Hear that, guys? It's simple.
Yeah.
Please.
Please. No, so, but yeah, I think that's, we're gonna run into that. And if I would probably work with you on why we wouldn't be approving that, and see what, you know, maybe if there was a better plan to pay our counselors other than with the money that we have. Because I would assume that would be because Stafford County wanted to give us some extra money. Right? Extra money, right?
No, actually, I thought you were coming in here to say that we were going to be reimbursed back $78,000.
Oh, okay. Well, sorry to disappoint.
So this requires a motion. I'll make the motion that we accept the carryover reimbursement budget summary.
I second.
It's been moved and seconded that we accept the carryover reimbursement summary. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
How
Motion
many
carries.
sign it, everybody?
I'm sorry?
Does all commissioners have signed?
No, just the chair.
Chairman, I thought.
And the signature, you're on the last line. I put it alphabetical on that one. And then the next is the fiscal year 2012 year-end outcomes report. And this is, we had set out goals and objectives with our comprehensive plan. We generally come in around to the commission meetings around April. And this is the year that, this is kind of a transition year because there are a lot of changes within our, the standards set forth by the state and by, and so we're just kind of closing this up. The biggest change has been, if you look on page 3 at the bottom, in 2006 was used as a baseline year for revocation and successful completions for the state. And then they always wanted us to complete our goals and objectives and then compare them back to that fiscal year 2006 data. Well, that was before we had been required to follow what was called evidence-based principles of community supervision. And so it's kind of like comparing apples to oranges, because now everyone's got, you know, different standards that are in place that that we follow on how to, for example, with the motivational interviewing, that's one example of a tool that we use now that we hadn't back then. So they wanted us to look at what is success. And by the Department of Corrections standards, the people that are successful are those that don't go to prison. And that makes sense to everybody. The problem is that there's a separation. Sometimes you have somebody that was successful in, I don't know, they didn't have any drug use, but they still had their costs owed to the court. Well, they terminate the cases and send those costs to collections. Is that successful or unsuccessful? Well, on the old standards, we'd say, well, that's unsuccessful, but they didn't enter prison. And so we would have successful, unsuccessful, and revoked and went to prison. And so now they've separated just into two categories. You either went to prison or you didn't go to prison. You're successful or you're revoked. And so that's why there's kind of, like, if you notice, the target adds up to 91%, and the year end ours adds up to 100%, if that makes sense to you. So we took out those unsuccessfuls and considered this successful. It's so weird and seems convoluted, but it's revoked or didn't go to prison. And so last year they went for fiscal year 13. Now they want us to, for everybody across the state, to strive for at least a 75% successful completion rate. Because you'd have those big counties, Sedgwick County for instance, and I am guessing, I do have I've got all of the different revocation. You have some of those bigger cities, Sedgwick County, 56% that were revoked last year. Well, and that's a lot of people. And that's a lot of people that entered into the prison system, but they also supervise the highest risk offenders. When they have the majority of the prison population that comes home to like 3 neighborhoods in Sedgwick County.
Right.
So, you know, the ratio is like completely skewed. And so they just want everybody to strive. Every population looks different. So for instance, last year we were at 73%. They want us to strive for 75% and make those, I think it's a 3% increase of the revocation rate from the previous year until you get to that 75% level. And then they kind of consider you know, to be doing what you need to do for risk reduction. So that's kind of one of the biggest changes for supervision. We also have different reports that are required and different goals. You know, the last year we've had over 50% of our staff was new and has been there for, you know, I've got we only have 4 supervising officers and myself serving over 200 people. When I started supervision, we had like 20 to 25 people on our caseload, and now when you're at 50, I mean, there's obvious issues that you're going to have that it just seems like we're trying to put out fires. So what we're trying to do this year is you know, get some more training on how to do more with less. I also did receive approval for some extra funding to hire another staff person, which leaves you in a quandary when you read the paper and it says every state agency is going to get a 10% cut. In a pickle. You know, what do we do here? So we're trying to come up with some different ways. I've got an advisory board meeting this week that we're going to try to strategize on how best to spend that money, or you know, even maybe with a paid intern, or do something creative so that we can still use that money in case we do get it next year, but not devastate a new employee by laying them off within a year of them getting put on the program, so, or placed employed with us. So anyway, that's kind of what's going on with us, and if anyone has some questions, I'd be happy to entertain them.
Still got Joe working with you.
Still got Joe. Yes, he's actually
And you don't
supervising.
have any problems.
Yeah, he's a good one to have on our side. So he's actually supervising in Rice County, and they're keeping him pretty busy over there. So It'd be nice to have them spread out everywhere.
So the Kansas prison system is everything like Ellsworth, Hutch, Lansing, that's still like out at Norton.
Yeah, I think that Stockton was the one that
Stockton.
was,
So it's everything, just anything beyond a county.
correct. Yes. So that's where, you know, you can have somebody that was ordered to do some jail time and then terminate. That's still considered a successful because they didn't end into the Kansas prison system.
They didn't go to the big house.
They didn't, right.
That's where the big bucks come in too, they go to prison, this
Yeah.
is why you can do this and keep the ones
Right.
going to get back in.
Our judges and prosecutors, of course, are pretty responsive on, and our officers are pretty responsive on risk reduction and for public safety as far as risk is concerned. So you may have somebody, you know, it's more of a compliance issue, or maybe, you know, they're just not what you would consider your gold star offender that successfully completed. But you know what we hope is that they take what they learned while the short time that they were on with us, and at least can think about it or to make some changes. And you know, we definitely get calls after they're off of supervision, or you know, if they are finding themselves either relapsing on substances or whatever, and calling us saying, help me get back on track. And we definitely pride ourselves on being that stability of contact for them.
What's the current cost, have you heard, of per bed in the Kansas penal system?
I read that was at like 35,000 a year or something like that.
Well, one time we were told it was $145 per bed, whether the bed was occupied or not. And
Maybe more than that. I read that article in the paper the other day about what it's costing now for
Yeah, and when
the average cost nationwide.
There's
35,000,
always-
40,000 a year,
right.
a bunch of money.
it is very expensive, and especially with the high risk and needs, you know, that's why they, you know, if you remember, they had a boot camp down in Labette County, and I think that there are plans to turn that into a geriatric prison. And same with doing things with Stockton. So you do have some people that are, you have those people that are very high cost, that definitely drive up the price.
Yeah.
But I really, you know, that seems like it's, I think you're about right, as far as per year, I can get back with you.
no,
on
that's
that.
fine. It's just,
I
this
read-
was a couple of years ago.
I read the paper last week, I put this thing about it, but I think there's something in there, I might be wrong.
Mhm.
So it's expensive. but
It's a lot of
somebody-
money. just
It's
to have
very
that.
expensive. That's why we always, you know, we need to be successful, that we can show, I mean, for public safety, it is a public safety
Right.
issue. And so we hope to prove to the legislature and the governor to show that you're getting a big bang for your buck by investing in us. And so, but, you know, when we just keep getting cut and cut and cut, I think that we start to see, you know, there's only so much that a few people can do. We're lucky in, you know, at least in Great Bend, there are services available. But you get, you know, we don't have too many people in Stafford County, but you do suffer with services and getting people to and from, or, you know, they have to find it on their own. So those resources, especially just as I mentioned earlier, there's changeover with the SRS and you know, those systems that are our stakeholders, that we have similar clients, and those are always at risk. Mental health, I mean, they've been slashed. I mean, those are the people that help us do our job too. So it's tough. So I just, if there's no other questions, I'll ask that be approved.
Yes. So this is the in outcome report, year-end outcome report.
Correct.
I move that we accept the quarterly and year-end outcome report.
I second the motion.
It's been moved and seconded that we accept the year-end outcome report. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried.
thanks, and I always do appreciate having a conversation instead of me just giving a little thing and being done, so it's a nice change. So feel free to ask questions.
Well, I liked the time that you brought one of the clients
I
down.
Yeah.
I will do that again.
You know, it's always nice to see, you know,
It is.
at least a success.
Someone that says
you know.
basic progress, wants to do some things.
I will, I'll schedule that, so it is fun to hear from that, so. Okay.
Of course, I'd like to see one that is a repeat offender. We'd like to talk to him as well.
Oh, well, why don't we do that on next section? Must appear in public meeting.
Bye, Judy.
Thank you.
Steve, what do you got for us?
Oh, just a couple things. A lot of nice rain, welcome rain. So I'm going to go ahead, unless you have opposition, I'm going to go ahead and discontinue the site inspection plan that we had. And so I think it was pretty successful to go that route versus a burn ban. So,
Although next week we might have started back again.
yeah, but we got a pretty good rain.
Yeah, I
So
think.
I think it's very saturated around most of the city. So unless you have opposition, just go ahead and do that. We had a tabletop active shooter disaster drill. We're required to do those quarterly, and that was the one that we'd chosen actually before even we had the incident happen, not in Colorado. But anyhow, the follow-up to that is we took a look at all the schools' policies. The county doesn't have one, nor does the cities, and kind of put all of ours together, and we're still working on that, but I just wanted to kind of let you keep you abreast of that. But I went ahead and wrote a kind of a, and I'll get you kind of a copy of that once we meet again in the LAPC group. But I put something together for the county and the cities if they so choose to, they can accept it or not. But it'd be just some general direction for the employees. We've given them some general direction on what steps they should take if something should happen of that sort. And then, if I could have, it's probably only going to take 5 minutes. I'll go ahead and ask for 10 minutes for executive session to talk about it, non-elected personnel, and both commissioner-elects are fine to sit on that too.
And you say 10 minutes?
Okay, I make a motion, the executive session, 10 minutes for non-elected personnel.
I'll second the motion.
It's been moved and seconded to go into executive session for 10 minutes with non-elected personnel. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried.
I have been writing an application to the Kansas Housing Resources Corporation for a moderate income housing program. And one of the requirements of that application is that it must include a resolution from the applicant's governing body, giving the applicant the authority to apply for, participate in the RFP. So I drafted a resolution to consider. If you'd like to, okay, I made copies of the application. I may tweak it a little bit between now and tomorrow when I actually mail it in, but, and I'm sorry, I should have made a couple of other copies, and if you're interested, I can provide those, but what the application does is apply for $300,000 from this program that would be matched with funds in economic development, a total of $40,000 from Stafford County Economic Development to finance the construction of 2 duplexes that we'll use as rental units. And then that would be the content, the project that the grant itself would provide for. The plan would be then, outside of the grant, to retain ownership of those duplexes, and with the equity and the revenue that they provide, engage in some development of single-family residences throughout the county. So Stafford County would be the recipient and the administrator of the grant. That's just I included the letter that I wrote as economic development to, there's several endorsements. The 3 cities, the 3 schools, our largest private employer, economic development. I have letters from all of those endorsing the application to help illustrate the community support. The reason I included that one is that I have a little piece of data that I thought was kind of a nice illustration of what's happening in the county. We have, in talking with the superintendents of the 3 schools, it's all very preliminary data. The official head count doesn't come until September 20th, but preliminarily, we have an increase in enrollment in all 3 school districts this year. And I had looked at data that was readily available from the Kansas Department of Education, and that hasn't, I mean, it's readily available back to the 1996-97 school year. No other year in that time frame has there been an increase in the enrollment of all 3 school districts in 1 year. I mean, there's been some bumps in one individual school district in a given year, but all 3 across the board hasn't happened for the last 15 years, and probably a whole lot longer, knowing what our demographic trends have been. So in that course of the housing needs statement, they want to know if there's expansion of employment or the kinds of things that would create demand for housing, and I've made the case that it's not that there's any one specific employer that's had this visible expansion, but we've got 1 and 2 employees and an emphasis on entrepreneurship. We've got just some marginal incremental growth. The Rural Opportunity Zone program, working on bringing back alumni. They're not, again, any one big thing, but hopefully a combination of factors that are beginning to see some results.
Do you think that's going to inhibit your chances? The fact that there's not one simple thing they can put their finger on and say, oh, this is why they need this?
Well, they want to see some type of, so that's why I've made the case that that we do have growth, we do have a demand, we do have a need, even if it's not that there's one employer providing for a significant expansion. I've used some of the data that we do have on the status of housing. For example, what is it? Our average house age in Stafford County is 81 years old. The median is 86. Looking at data from the appraiser's office, which has record of all the condition of all houses in the county. There's 2,067 houses in the county. What is it? 80. I have to look here. Get my data exactly right, but there's 80% of the 2,067 homes in the county rank in less than good condition. Just 3% of the homes are rated as excellent or very good. Part of that reason that they're in declining condition is that they're aging considerably. Just less than, just 2% of the inventory is less than 10 years old, and 97% is older than 20 years. So, admittedly, that data that 80% is less than good condition, there's also some, it's a 15-point scale. Under good is average. So what I've done is I've presented it in the most negative light possible to try to make the case for need. But I think there is no denying that there's not a lot of housing development that's occurred.
You have letters of support from all these others in the city of City Stafford, Maxville, St. John, Flower Mills. That's USDP 50, 49, 351. So there's letters to.
Right. So I've tried to include the data that I could, but I also included several anecdotal kind of cases of people that have come to the county relocating and have found difficulty with housing, and I'm hoping that some of those kind of cases also help illustrate the need.
So the chances, is this competitive?
It's going to be very competitive. There's total of 2.75 million available statewide. So
It's not much.
it's not much. It'll be competitive. Nothing ventured, nothing gained.
So if you don't
Give it a
get this
try.
grant, you probably won't pursue this. You don't have the funds to do this yourself.
Not
by any means.
independently, but we'll keep looking for other opportunities. For example, Federal Home Loan Bank has a program that will have an RFP open in the spring. And I've got, intending to look for a good way to present something to that. And I think our housing assessment will build into that very well. We'll keep looking for opportunities and maybe pursue some of those even if we do get this. But as far as what the county would be, you'd be the administrator of the funds. And I've discussed it with the administrator of the program, whether the county is required to maintain ownership or anything like that after that, and they said no. So if, for example, Stafford County Economic Development contributes the land, I think it's as simple as the county of Stafford conducts an activity on our property, and then when it's done, the deed has always been in economic development's name, and it would continue to be so. The county just improved it.
Right. Okay, I make a motion we adopt resolution 2012-11, which is a resolution of the Board of Stafford County Commissioners authorizing application to the Kansas Moderate Income Housing Program.
I second it.
It's been moved and seconded that we accept the resolution of the Board of County Commissioners authorizing the application to the Kansas Moderate Income Housing Program. Is there any discussion?
If none.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion is carried. Do you want me to sign that?
All three of us have to.
That's what those lines are for, right?
Yeah, there it is.
I have 2 copies, and you want one, and I want one. Or do I need to make a copy of the original?
I just need an original.
Okay.
How come I
Are there
have
two
so
there?
many of
There's
these?
2.
Oh,
You need that.
she wants 2 of them signed.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
We can do that.
And I'm trying to get.
So when's time frame you should know about this? You don't have any idea?
I don't know. I'm
Just send
hoping,
it, send it away to see.
Figure it out.
I think that 3 to 4 month time frame is fairly common.
So even if this doesn't quite work out, you're gonna keep pursuing other avenues?
Absolutely.
Okay.
And I think, if this does get approved, it would be also a piece of the idea of economic development diversifying its funding. It would provide revenue ongoing to economic development for carrying out projects, housing or otherwise. So
Okay.
want to keep pursuing those things too.
Very good.
Thank you.
Anything else?
All I have.
Okay.
Thank you.
Lisa, do you have something?
Yeah, I do.
Good. Yes.
I am asking for recommendation of step increase for Maribel Tovar from range 4, step 4 to range 4, step 5. It's time for her normal step increase. She's a good worker, she's very detail oriented, she's good at accuracy, so
Very friendly there too.
yeah, she does a good job up on the front.
Same steps, just the same range as of
Yeah.
one step.
Just the next step up.
Okay, I make the motion, we increase Maribel Tovar from range 4, step 4 to range 4, step 5, effective October 1st.
I'll second the motion.
It's been moved and seconded that we accept Maribel Tovar's step increase from range 4, step 4 to range 4, step 5. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried.
Was Joe gonna come in today?
You better.
All right. All right. Well, anyhow,
Okay, we have a, what is this?
It's a oil field,
Matt Stock.
application to put an electric line.
Drill under the road.
Whatever you call that.
Bore.
Yeah, up by the Peace Church, is that the one on K-19?
There's a map. Last page of the
Yeah.
map.
And I wrote on it too. Yeah, Peace Church.
From boring under the road, you go to the church? No,
No,
the Father Church.
I'm gonna quit doing these. It's something to do with an oil well. It's not-
And
it's
they
not-
need
I don't
electricity.
think so.
Yeah, Philip said it was an oil well, because I asked him.
So they run a pipeline across the area.
This is a piece of ground that Matt bought.
Well, I don't know. I asked him if it was
Not
oil
that it-
related, and he
not that
said
it
yes.
matters, I guess, I mean, as far as we're concerned. Matt bought an 80, and somebody wanting electricity put on it somehow. And I bet he's,
For irrigation.
no, probably just for cattle livestock, and I would guess that there's probably electricity across the road at a lease. They may not know he's taking their
The fill
electricity,
station's all
that's
right
not
there.
our problem, right?
There's no problem with it.
It's 2-inch PVC.
It's a bore, so it's not,
2-inch PVC. Electric.
not an issue, I guess.
I make the motion to approve this right-of-way agreement with the American Utilities Construction, boring under the blacktop.
Second?
Moved and seconded that we accept Matt's application to bore under blacktop. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Motion carried unanimously. Anything else?
You got it?
We received a dividend check from EMC,
Which is where?
our Employers Mutual, our insurance carrier.
Okay.
This is for $11,115
And the commissioners get a split.
for, this is for our work comp.
We got
You know,
money
we get
back.
money back.
Cool.
Don't plan on this next year, she said.
That's
This will go
not
back
fair.
into the work
That's not
comp line
fair.
item. No,
How much was it for?
$11,115. We get those periodically, but probably not next year.
All right, not from me. Well, let's get Margaret officially
Okay,
signed up.
I need that.
You need that?
Did you sign both of them?
No. Okay, Margaret Sims just said that she would accept the position, what's it, Central Kansas
Area on Aging.
Area on Aging.
Southwest Kansas.
Southwest.
Southwest Kansas area.
All right, yeah, Southwest Kansas Area on Aging. Margaret Sims is.
I make a motion to appoint Margaret Sims to represent Southwest Kansas area on aging.
I'll second that motion.
Quickly.
Before she changes her mind again. Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we accept Margaret as a board member for Southwest Area on Aging. All in favor, say aye. Motion carried. Thank God.
So you need one more?
We need one more.
Yeah.
Have you?
Let me know.
Yeah,
Let me
we
tell
do.
Who's the other from Stafford, do you know?
I thought you had a cow.
I have one, but it's contingent on riding with someone.
Well, she can ride with Margaret.
So,
I'll bet.
I'll tell her that.
Tell her
She's sick. I think I'm gonna have to find somebody else.
Seriously? Who was it?
If you hadn't asked me, I would.
Sorry.
You put down? Oh, yeah.
This recent.
I can tell her, she can check.
Joe left this for you. One for each of you. I haven't had a chance to look at it pertaining to the tax sale.
Good.
This is read all
This
this.
is Commissioner Pantry.
Oh, sorry.
Get your right one, for sure, probably some different.
Yeah.
Well, that's not Fancher, I'm sorry, but he's got way S's and C's and S-C-H, anyhow.
So anyway,
Shall we recess, or you have some?
yeah, you can. I'm good.
You good?
It's
All right.
just
You guys
more
have anything
information.
you wanna bring up?
No, I know.
Okay, let's recess. And let him finish that. Well, let's see, we got a special order for this. You let Joe talk. All right, let's go in. We did? All right. Joe?
What do you want to talk about first?
Well,
Because a couple of things we have to go into closed session for.
And at 10:30, you have to have your budget hearing.
which will take all of,
5 minutes.
I'm here all morning, that's not a problem.
I'm just saying, you can't go into a 20-minute executive session
executive
now
session,
because
so
we
we're
have.
talking about now in the next 15 minutes.
We can do the oil issue,
Which one is that?
First one to list.
Daymar.
Daymar, that's actually fairly simple, once you realize that, one, Daymar has problems understanding that you're always paying your taxes the year after. You pointed that out. What they did here is they paid taxes, I think, for 2007 and 2008. They protested 2008. But they didn't do an equalization appeal, they did a paid under protest, which would tend to suspect that they paid 2008 taxes, but they didn't. Because the couple $1,000 they want back was actually paid for 2007 taxes according to her records. So they really did not pay in 2008, notwithstanding their representation in the Court of Tax Appeals. For everybody in the room, there's two ways you can contest your taxes. You can file what's called an equalization appeal, where you're challenging the assessor's valuation, and on those, whether it be before the Kansas Court of Tax Appeals, will have an EX in the number. And when you pay your taxes and then pay under protest, that number will have a PR. This was a PR number, but they never paid those taxes for 08. They just got confused and nobody called them on it.
Okay, is the issue settled now, or are we
So
still?
it's kind of a non-issue. I sent a letter to their attorney pointing this out, that hey, even though they quote paid under protest, they actually did not pay for 2008.
Didn't you say you got something in the mail from them to apply that money to?
Their 2011 taxes, they shorted by the amount that they thought they should be getting back.
So you sent the check back though?
Yeah, I said I can't accept the partial payment, so I sent it back.
So you're waiting to receive them?
No, they went ahead and paid it finally.
So you paid, so we're square on it?
Yeah,
Okay,
they're up to date,
Okay.
everything.
They were just confused
They were
because
just
they
trying
paid
to
their...
work through me.
I just think they just did not realize you're always, paying, in the vast majority of cases, your 2007 taxes in 2008.
Or
Right.
they did and didn't want to pay them?
Well, they thought that what they paid in 2008 was for 2008.
it's not the first year they paid that.
Production dropped. And in a
But
sense,
the
they
issue
quote
is settled.
lied.
So it's all good, so
In a
that's.
sense, they quote lied to the Kansas Court of Tax Appeals, but it's one of those deals where it was more of a lie of ignorance rather than, attempt to defraud anybody.
Okay, well,
So
good.
that issue is resolved.
Pretty much so, yeah.
Okay, then the tax sales then.
And you haven't had no more calls or communication from them?
No, the,
Because the last time you talked, you said they called and kind of reamed you and
yeah,
said,
they really, and I have decided if they call again, I just can't accept their phone calls. But no, they have not called back. I think they got in touch with Joe, like I told them, that's just really an issue for Joe.
okay,
I can't help them.
that's good, that's done, very good. Check that one off.
Okay.
We won one.
Well, you gotta remember, taxes are very confusing even for poor treasurers and poor attorneys. They try and make it as confusing as possible, I kid you not.
And a tax sale, understanding we have to, that the city's got mowing fees and everything, those have to be paid too.
As I tried to, in my letter addressed to you,
I haven't had a chance to read it.
August 22, 2012, and with permission of the board, I'll cheerfully share it with the two incoming members, shoot them a copy. KSA 79-2804 is a god-awful statute. I mean, talk about poor use of English language. It certainly suggests that your Board of County Commissioners can start the bidding at less than what the total amount of tax lien is, but it doesn't say whether or not that starting to bid less than the amount of the entire lien has to be a bid in the name of the commissioners or not. That's a good question. Everybody I've talked to said, boy, that's a good one.
But see, before, I know past, they never, if the city had, that was forgiven at the time, that all you, the person bought the, and what you paid for, if you bought for that, you'd have to pay all these other assessments on it.
Now, there's been some there's case law on that from the 1940s, you know. That was special assessments, like curbs and guttering. The theory was that the city could always foreclose its own special assessment, and the city waived. As a practical matter, these properties will not sell unless you start bidding less than the total amount
Oh, absolutely.
of the accrued taxes.
Some
Because that's way more than the market value. So as I put in my concluding paragraph, not that I am, 1,000% comfortable that this is, the way to do it, but I'd say, given the circumstances, start the bidding at a de minimis figure. I say suggest $50 on the tracks that are all, overburdened, and see what happens. Because if you look back at 2008, I think we sold, or tried to sell 14 tracts of real estate. I'm thinking we sold, I'm going to say 6, and 8 people passed out because they said, oh, these assessments are too much.
Terrible. So, but I don't, without, you're telling me that any individual can go and start it.
Well, I'm going to say we're going to start the bidding at $50.
You mean county?
Some of these, and we're not going to call it a county bid. Now, I don't know if anybody's going to try and call us on that. Because there's a whole procedure for the county acquiring property and tax sales and getting rid of it 6 months later with all the assessments removed. But I can understand why counties do not want to acquire particular tracts of real estate. I'm not saying that this is the case here, but there are various tracts of real estate in any county that are, how should we say, judgment-proof. Nobody wants them because you're looking at underground gasoline tanks that will have to remove, or you're looking at some type of CERCLA, which is EPA type law remediation. Classic example in Ellsworth County would be 2 places, Star Oil, which is an old oil field supply yard. Nobody wants that. It's abandoned. You probably have CERCLA problems. Also, the old CK elevator. Abandoned grain elevators are usually pretty full of toxic stuff. So those things, also the old hospital with all the asbestos, those 3 properties will be forever tax delinquent. I've driven around to look at these properties. Most of these properties appear to be vacant lots with the big, with a lot of mowing assessments on them. There's a couple that are demolition assessments, a couple of maxed up. So the thought being, if we start the bidding at about $50, maybe we'll get somebody to come on in.
Maybe we should start it at 10.
I'm open to suggestions. I mean,
The idea is to clean this up.
well, as I point out in my, was it last or second to last paragraph, you know, if you regard the purpose of this tax foreclosure is, one, not to collect all the back taxes, but two, give these non-producing properties back to the tax roll.
Basically, we want somebody to own them and take care of them, is the biggest thing. Mow them or clean them up or whatever.
And typically, from what I've seen, you really have to, how should we say, solicit neighbors. It's the neighbors who are the potential buyers. You're not gonna find anybody to come in from, you know, wherever and buy this place and build on it. Typically, you're trying to convince neighbors they need to acquire the local eyesore so they control it.
Right. But the question was asked, you know, can we do this if the cities have special assessments, mowing, et cetera? And you're saying that we can abate those even
Well,
the cities?
no, we can't abate them, but I think that unless the city bids in on the property, I think the cities will be considered as waiving its claim to those. I think the cities can come in and acquire these
Yeah, the
properties.
cities want them, they should come and cover their lien like a mortgage
that's-
company would, right?
I understand that, but if if we sell these properties and the city has this lien against them, are they sold clear? Is that title clear? Are those liens?
I'd say the city has waived those liens, because we're gonna,
If they don't come bid on,
If
they
they
waive.
don't bid on them, they waive
They
it.
waive,
I'm
okay.
gonna make sure each city clerk, each city mayor gets a little letter in a list, and I might send it out certified mail, so there's no question about it. It said, look, your town has the following properties, and it looks like you have, you know, liens against all of them. Here's your golden opportunity to fish or cut bait, and either buy them basically using your money, which you'll get the vast majority of it, and redeem
That's
it
the way it
for
should be, because the
sheriff's
county's
sale.
forgiving all their taxes. I mean, if they're getting what the property brings, that's it, you know, and you can't sell them, like I said last time, I had that
As I
sale.
point out in the letter, I don't see any legal bar to the city redeeming them, and indeed, this is a really
We need to be able to
open
access.
question here. Can the city show up at the sale and
Absolutely.
bid? And that, you know, and you'll get different answers from different lawyers, but my friend who wants to remain nameless has done a lot more of these, and most attorneys I know says, go ahead and try it, you know. But I will certainly solicit the cities, hey, before the sheriff's sale comes, if you want any of these properties that you have your lien on, come get them now. Now, I've heard people say, well, we would
But
like.
we're gonna sell these properties free of liens.
We're gonna try and get rid of all of them, Roger.
That's my main question.
Because I said last
That's a
time,
concern most
they
people.
jumped there and announced right at the start of the sale, you know, you had this much, and this here would have to be paid too at the same time. You have to pay off this mowing fee or something, and a couple, $3,000, and nobody's, I'm not gonna start that for that.
Now, the other thing the cities might be doing as we speak, and Nita can speak to this, but Nita's gonna, you know, be sending out tax bills in the first week of November, okay? Well, the cities are certifying mowing fees against that tax
They're
bill
doing that
as we
now.
speak.
So there could be mowing for 2012 year
Yeah.
that
That's
is not
not
free
on.
and clear.
Yeah,
But you have to make announcement at the sale.
right.
There could be mowing charges you're responsible for your 2012 tax
Yeah.
statement.
And
This,
there probably are.
this only goes up to this is only inclusive through 2011.
Right.
When I put them in, I'll keep track of the ones that are already in tax sale, so we'll know.
So they'll know how much
So they
the
will
diesel
know.
got.
Yeah.
Okay, well, then it makes that clear as mud, but I think it's
That
pretty much what
could
everybody was
deter things
hoping.
a little
And
bit.
what days is sale gonna be on?
Well, we haven't run the newspaper ad.
I don't know, what are you planning on, anything?
Probably late October. Biggest problem with this is the time we spent trying to locate people, and we have a whole lot of people we never did locate, hence the rather gratuitous, you know, notice of lawsuit, you know, you publish in the papers, you assume people who haven't been seen in this area for years are going to read the local paper. So that's what the law requires, it's kind of a legal fiction. I tend to suspect the vast majority of those people we listed in our notice of suit are dead.
Yeah, a lot of them are. Some
Well,
of them are.
don't mind discussing that's what's clear. We'll do it without them.
You know, but nobody opened the states, and that's
They
usually
know when
done.
it is,
You know,
Is it
check
time?
now, you know, computers,
Almost.
see if
We
there's
need
a
to-
state anywhere in the state of Kansas.
Recess out for a meeting, kind of.
Okay, Joe, you got anything to add? We're gonna recess here
Or do the budget?
to do our budget.
That's
for-
fine.
For 5 minutes.
Okay, now I need a motion
You know,
to
what's-
approve the 2013 budget.
Pardon me?
She needs a motion to approve the budget.
I make a motion that we approve the 2013 budget.
Second motion.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve the 2013 budget. Is there any discussion? If not, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion has been approved.
You want to continue, Joe? You have a bunch of things to sign
Yes,
here.
Joe, go right ahead.
Okay,
Do you need something to sign?
You got lots to sign.
Okay, we're done with the budget, we're back to our
Yes.
list?
Yes,
Okay.
we're back to you.
Well, we've talked about the tax sale, we're gonna start the bidding on the burden properties at $10. I mean,
just don't scare anybody off, right?
I don't know, they've
And
had,
we don't want any
we've
property,
had,
right?
we've had before, no problem.
Have we determined
County
that?
did. When I first come on, if they didn't sell, the commissioners thought they'd have to give $1 and buy it, or something. And what happened then, they owned several properties around, and some was kind of costly to get rid of, and plus the liability of them. If you got some property here, you got the liability.
like I said, there are
Right, so I don't
properties,
think
you
we,
don't want to
I don't think
foreclose
the county
on.
wants to be involved.
Okay, the vast majority of these are vacant lots. I'm not trying to stir up trouble here, but I do know that I've heard from Carolyn Dunn that she would be interested in some of these lots, and I said, well, you know, the county commissioners, and that's their decision, is what it is. Obviously, anybody can show up and bid on these.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's.
Why do we have to have any opening price?
You gotta start the bidding somewhere.
Well, but by starting the bidding, say even at $1, aren't we then assuming that we buy it if nobody bids? Is what
Well,
I'm
that's
assuming.
the whole point of this letter, Roger, is, you know,
So why would we even?
we're gonna start the bidding, as I understand it, just at $1 figure, and we're not gonna call it a county bid.
How are you gonna get by with that? Well, what's
We'll
gonna happen?
see. I
Okay,
mean,
but
we'll see
that's what
if somebody challenges us on it.
what happens if nobody else bids then?
What happened in 2008, it's back on the tax rolls, everything rolling over.
It remains in those people's name on the tax
Yeah,
rolls,
correct.
as if it nothing had
Correct.
happened. Okay.
Yeah, I
All
think
right,
we're on the right track.
That's what I,
Yeah,
that's what
that's what we
I,
want to happen.
It's like
As long as we're not hung with it.
a farm
Right.
auction, you know, and they're selling the junk off, the junk trailer. You know, you say, do I have $5? And no one bids.
It's a no sale.
Well, then they say, okay, who will give $1?
Oh, it's
And
called-
it usually winds up more than the $5 opening bid.
But when you go backwards, I always call that a Dutch auction.
All right, well, it's a Dutch auction. But if, you know,
But in
But you
your
can-
scenario, we will not get stuck with it no matter.
We're not, as I understand, we're not making a bid in the name of the county unless
Okay, so-
Actually,
expressly directed by
well, the sheriff could
the
just,
board.
actually just open bid for $1, right, or whatever. Sheriff said, well, we'll give $1, that's opening the bids, right?
Yeah, I'm not sure why we got
They
it.
can say they'll accept $1 bid, whatever, they'll say they can accept whatever your minimum is, but they don't actually make a bid. You're just saying, we'll accept $1 as an opening bid.
Oh, yeah, okay. Or you can say 10 or 50, whatever you want.
Are these
But it's
tracks,
not actually a bid, there you go.
No,
That
they're
makes
just saying what they'll
sense.
accept for an opening bid.
There you go.
are these tracks pretty well advertised so that neighbors
Yeah.
would know that?
Assuming they read the local newspaper, or, you know.
put it in the Stafford paper?
No, we just
too, or
put it, we just
here?
put it in the official county, that's $1,200 of publication, it's how much money do you want to spend on
Absolutely.
newsprint?
There might be cheaper ways to advertise it.
Too expensive to do that.
Well, no, you're required by law.
Yeah, I know, you have to do that, but you might want to
That's
do
the problem,
that.
sometime we've had it, like some tax
Put a sign in the
we've got all the expense involved in it, plus all the abstracting and everything else.
I believe that people have been pushing to have these
He's got a lot of
Anybody
maxed
can
out
come in.
already.
counties be able to put this on their official website and not have to spend money on newspapers, and newspapers fight that in the legislature.
Yeah.
I think that's gonna get.
What if you just put a sign in the
People
vacant
looking
lot
at it
so that people know?
Newspaper.
Pardon?
What if the county put a sign in the vacant lot so people know?
Actually, there's no prohibition against it.
Cleaned up.
Obviously.
But they're
Be an excellent idea to let the
Neighbors would know.
be aware.
Revenue besides county.
Yeah.
Just like
Because I am having trouble.
Carr or anybody else would
She
be.
had a question.
You know, they've been very clear the county don't want to profit.
But, yeah, the more people
Economic
can see it, the
development.
better.
Absolutely, I
Being the
agree.
county in
And I think the
I know a lot of
website,
people at Stafford don't
Where they
know
come down
about it.
from.
Well,
because
the
it's just
county-
it's paper.
The economic development entity we're dealing with is actually not 501 sub C, is it
So
sub,
it'd be associated.
that's what
3?
it costs.
Okay.
There's various nonprofit corporations, that's what we're dealing with. Basically, economic development is a nonprofit, which gets money from the county or
I
office
agree,
space in
and I
the
think
county.
that the people,
But it is an independent
whatever we can do
entity,
to.
I do too.
because it also gets money besides
I
public
agree,
dollars.
and I think,
So they could buy if they wanted.
Putting it in both newspapers doesn't bother me. And putting it on the website.
yeah, I'll try to get something.
Put it on the
Yeah, they're a
bulletin
private
board, hang it in the
Good
church
question.
and Seward Parish and all that.
You know, I don't think that, Kurt's of the sign thing might not be too bad an idea. Has some signage out there on these lots, and I don't know how we do that.
I mean, there's nothing to stop you. I mean, you're entitled, if you're not trespassing, you're
We got signs already
entitled to enter onto these
Money
properties,
donation.
you know, if they're tax delinquent.
People can see, like, but next door to them is vacant.
Yeah, that's true, I
Yeah.
guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, let them look at it
Get
for a
some
month.
signs that say
It's property for
Tax
sale at the
sale,
tax
tax sale
sale.
Whatever
foreclosure.
day. Call Joe
Okay,
Sheepak for
well,
information.
My only
Call
question,
Joe.
well, my only question though
Joe's
is who's
real
going to make the
estate.
signs? I mean,
Yeah.
Any
Who's gonna-
volunteers?
Don't look at me. Do not look at me.
She said
I mean,
that.
I don't have any, the reason I say that, I don't have any kids at home. I mean,
Getting into your what?
You need 30 of them?
I don't know how many parcels we're gonna have when we get this thing.
Little-
How many redeemed yet? Very many since.
we started out with 48 and we're down to around 30 something.
We've had some redeeming.
Closer
I
you
had a
get
guy
closer to the
call me
sale, you
last
have more
week
redeemed too.
too, but
The seed center could make the signs.
Yeah, they could.
They could punch them out in no time.
That'd be a good idea.
who?
The
The
seed center.
Seed center.
The Stafford.
They could punch out the signs and they're.
Or I can have OPI printing. Or Taylor printing. Whatever. Well, I know that, but they would be done.
Well, I think these are all good ideas. I guess it's up to us to kind of decide on the policy here.
Well, do we wait? How long after we have notice of the sale?
We gotta run it in the paper, the notice of sale, we gotta run it 3 consecutive weeks in the newspaper, and then the sale can't be less than 30 days from the date of first publication.
So saying, what if we waited, they're not going down, but wait, everybody's gonna redeem them.
I've given up waiting on people to redeem. I mean, that train was off the station.
But they have up until that point, right?
They have up until the time the sheriff starts reading
Bidding
the
on
notice of
Really?
sale.
Yeah,
Pay the sale.
yeah.
That's,
And
well, we
I
wouldn't
would
have to
ask,
publish.
And you don't accept cash now, don't you?
Yeah,
Correct.
yeah.
We don't take
That's
checks.
legal.
Don't
If you
call.
did it
That
for
time
1
one,
week,
yeah. That just
That's
came
where
up
we
with
get that.
you.
So is the cutoff
Just so
date
they
the
actually-
6th of September, or is it already cut off?
That's just for the people we haven't been able to serve. That's just that notice of suit.
Okay.
I'd say all those people who may or may not be dead, I think.
So
any
if
of
you're,
them will find
if you're
it.
wanting the end of October, you're gonna need to get and you need 30 days, you need to get publication, what, first part of September here?
Yeah, I guess, not less than 30 days from the date of first publication, not
First.
last
Okay.
publication. So,
So Nita was suggesting that we run not for 3 weeks, but at least 1 week in the Stafford paper also.
I know it'll cost us something, but then those folks over there would know about it.
it wouldn't be official publication,
No,
but
but-
the law says we
Right.
can't do it.
It
Just
would-
some
Just like
notice.
the signs.
Yeah, there's some notice.
I think there's some people over there that don't know about it
Yeah,
because
there
they
is.
don't get the St. John paper. And like I said, I know it's gonna cost us.
The
$100
Stafford
or
City
so.
Council has a list of they asked for it, so I mean, they got that list this summer.
Well, I don't think that's unreasonable. If you guys wanted to pursue the sign, it's okay, but I'm not in favor of spending a lot of money on it.
No, if you give, so you give pretty reasonable.
What do you want?
Just like a yard sign.
I would make a generic tax sale
So we can
foreclosure
reuse
sign,
them.
not with a date, so yeah, so we can reuse
Reuse
it.
them.
Like put tax sale, what would be proper verbiage, proceedings, contact,
I'm sure we could write that out.
yeah.
Right.
And just put a phone number, put
Yeah.
his phone number on there.
What do you mean?
I could find 30 wires for your signs for you.
Could you?
Yeah. Probably blown away from the tornado that I found. I've got plenty of them around.
Because
If
they
you
just
make a
got a
sign, I'll
grant
give you the hanger.
last week for vinyl cutting, sign, lettering, whatever it's called.
Really? Well, then they'll want to use it.
I mean, it wouldn't have to be anything huge.
Nothing big and
No, just
fancy,
something
just
out in the
tax
yard.
sale,
Just something to put in
or
the yard so people.
property
can
on
see.
tax sale or something.
Just
You
make
go
them ask
around
questions.
Friday evening and put them out for
I would,
you. You would really?
yeah. I'd have
No
to take a
beer
day off.
drinking while you're.
I'd have to take a day off too.
Oh, no, it's afterwards.
They'd probably have it on a Friday.
Friday definitely,
Afterwards.
Friday afternoon.
And take the appraiser's car.
No, I take my own.
Then
Might
you
get a
need
flat
one.
tire.
Oh, don't even do that.
Well, we get, I think,
Never drive through Boise, Tennessee.
I'm for making some signs.
I am
think
too.
it'd be a good idea, so
Let's pursue
let's,
that.
give us Joe
Because-
the wording we need on it.
We get it on the internet, we get it in
Well,
2
we do that.
newspapers, we get signs out, my
And then
goodness.
nobody will have an
We can
excuse.
go
No excuses.
That would be my.
next week, then we can go ahead and start having maintenance. You just, or you?
Sure.
Just, okay, that's what they.
And as far as the minimum bid, I think the way Ron put it was, if you want to say $10 or
I have a
whatever,
problem with that.
25, 50, I don't care, what do you guys think?
$1.
$1's okay with me.
Yep, but
We'll
I've
accept
seen
a bid
some-
of
I've seen lots of them for
$5.
$5.
Let's say $5.
Okay.
We will
We can
accept
write that
$5
down,
minimum bid. Come on in if you're back. You might be interested in everything we're talking about. Just to review it with you, because you had some questions, but this property will be sold free of liens, city or county,
Okay.
for the tax sales. And except that there may be a current year assessment for mowing or something like that.
But we'll know the day of the sale, right, what the current year's gonna
We
be?
will know that?
We know that, Nita?
She should.
I should.
Good.
We're gonna accept a minimum bid of $5. The county is not gonna buy anything back, but anybody else is welcome to, any entity to bid.
Okay.
Do you have any questions about that?
Well, that sounds like that answers the questions that
Okay.
I had.
The only people who can't bid are the people who already own it. They're-
Right.
they're-
Right.
Okay, they can't buy
Oh,
those
is that
property
right?
back.
For people that have delinquent taxes too, right?
Any delinquent tax, right?
I thought there's a statute, if you owe delinquent taxes, you can't even bid
I think
on
you're
them.
right.
Yeah.
Nobody,
Let's look for that.
Okay. I think I can probably find it.
Okay.
that was always down
Is
to
the old
the
high
board
school
sales, if I
fail?
thought that you, if you owed any taxes,
I think so.
Yeah,
county.
because I've had
I'm not
people
sure.
come in and pay
Yeah, buy
up their
something
taxes
else.
just so they can go
So
bid
there's a whole
upstairs.
bunch, there's some more links
As
on
long as I paid it
that.
up, what do you?
That's the
Well, they
Morgan
probably,
issue.
you know,
Steve.
And that was that
So you need to-
Polish
Producers
traders.
probably have to do
That's what
Is
I
that a
was-
pejorative term or a
Full
proper
disclosure
noun?
doesn't exist. You know, put it this way, you have to show a driver's license before you can bid. We're not taking bids in imaginary names.
I see.
Yeah, no, that's good.
Okay. All right, so I think that is
So,
resolved.
Well, if it would help, if you want people, if you can tell me what we need to figure, if you want to give them my phone number, just if you don't want them calling your office.
We'll give them a couple phone numbers.
Okay.
Share the world.
Yeah,
Not 351.
Give it a call.
Besides,
I don't know why.
you'll have to give me a,
No, I'll get calls.
I'll
Thinking
get
it's
you to give
right
me
here.
a total lean through the date of sale,
Okay,
you know.
yeah, okay.
So what is the process for relieving those liens? Is that a matter of between now and that
I think
time we?
Basically, if the cities don't come forward and, you know, redeem these properties or,
Time of sale, right?
you know, they've waived their lien.
But there'll be one that won't be showing up now that Nita said that he'll bring up this year's. So you may have
Because they're
to
always adding on.
add on that, so they may be responsible for that one then.
okay. Do we need any motions about any of this stuff?
As long
I don't
as
think
Joe and
so.
we're
I
on the
think
same page.
the statute says, as the county commissioners authorized, I think it's pretty clear we, $5.
Right.
Okay. Let's move on then.
so we're looking at $110,000 worth of uncollected taxes.
And a goodly chunk of that is what I call specials for cities, whether it's mowing, demolition. One of those properties, I think in Maxville, has $16,000.
So I know this Lee Suter's got interested in the last one. And, I mean, it
That's
was
a property on Main Street, isn't it?
just to clean it up.
And we're fixing to do the same thing in Hudson. So that one will probably be on the tax sale for you.
Okay, Joe, what's next?
Let's see, we've done Daymar, tax sale, what is 4 items? Dana?
I think they're all-
Firefighters relief association.
Well, that lawsuit drags on upstairs. I think I sent you a copy of the petition. And of course, the other side wanted us to join everybody who is a beneficiary under FRA 652, which we're in the process of doing. I think we've got all served but one. So that means there's probably about 15 defendants now.
So they're trying to drag them in on his side?
Yeah, what you have is you have a firefighters relief association with investments where the insurance commissioner, who doesn't have enforcement authorities, asked me to file a lawsuit against it, and kind of like Topsy, it just grows, that lawsuit.
Well, everybody on this end wants it to go away.
Not everybody, about 2 or 3 people who want FRA 652 to continue.
Well, there's that many.
Mhm.
Aren't they subjecting themselves to possible criminal
Possibly,
if this is pursued?
possibly.
I mean, assuming they committed fraud
Well,
and it can't be explained that,
that's
is there any
what,
discussion with their attorney? Have you had any discussion with their attorney whatsoever?
very little.
But somebody's giving them advice, right?
But yes, at least one of the defendants has legal counsel. So I get to spend time talking with the fire marshal's office and their attorney, Valerius. I'm supposed to be talking to somebody in the attorney general's office. And needless to say, I have my conversations with the insurance commissioner's office. Only in Kansas do we have, I guess, elected, insurance commissioners elected last time I looked, but apparently they don't have enforcement power. They have to either go to local county attorney or the attorney general, which, you know, kind of.
So you're being forced to prosecute?
Well, it's either me or the attorney general. Apparently the insurance company asked me, and obviously there's a lot of people, firefighters here, who want the assets from FRA 652 rolled over into another FRA. It's kind of strange.
Which is reasonable.
One time we had like 2 lists of people. One's an FRA 652, and I got the other FRA numbers down in my office, and there was like considerable overlap.
Right.
So in other words, some people were kind of double dipping.
Right. Yeah. But are you prosecuting this in the county's name?
It's a civil case. I'm prosecuting in the name of the state of Kansas on the relation of John Boyd, who's like a deputy commissioner of insurance.
It's really out of our hands as commissioners.
Yeah. It's not actually brought in the name of the county. No.
That's what I'm asking. And as long as this individual or a couple of individuals continues to want to keep this FRA in existence, you have no option.
Correct. And
should they choose to accept the fact that it doesn't exist, then it could be settled quickly.
Some people who are beneficiaries of FRA 652 have no problem rolling the money over into another FRA. Some do. That's
and it's not a question of the state taking the money away entirely. They're willing to roll it over.
Correct.
Is that correct?
Yeah. Although the state may change its tune, who knows? I mean,
Well, I can see why they would after this. Okay. Is that going to get resolved very quickly or not?
probably not.
Just can't help but think that if you talk to his attorney, that this could be explained pretty clearly.
Well, maybe I need to have some other folks sit beside me when we talk to his attorney and we'll see what we can do there.
Okay. All right. Okay, what else you got?
Our last one is something we definitely need to go into closed session on because it involves a matter involving a non-elected employee or person.
How much time would you like? And do you want to say something before we go in? No?
I received a thank you today that really was addressed to me, but just as much goes to the commission. I'm just going to let you
You want to present it so you don't have to sit around here?
That'd be great. There was a tour here last week with 56 participants, and toured the county, including Quivira, Martin Cemetery, Stafford County Historical Society. Ate at a couple different places. So anyway, I did help set it up, but Commissioner Grimmett also probably played more host than I did. So they were a nice thank you, and I just wanted to let you know that that was received.
That's pretty fast.
Yeah.
So how did it go?
Good.
Everybody had a good time?
I think it went rather well. Unfortunately,
Was there any water in the salt marsh?
Yeah, there was
That was impressive.
two white areas up there. One, the little salt marsh, and the other one was a big salt marsh, and it was totally covered with salt. there was water, but the artesian well, so we had two little places on each side of the road that had water. And I think people enjoyed it. It was rushed. I mean, they spent time here, and so they got the next visit short, but.
Packed one in.
And I think the comments were that individually they were going to come back to Stafford County. They enjoyed Stafford County, and there were some who lived only 30 miles away, had never been to Quivira in their life, so
Nice
they
to
didn't
get
know
to
it
see it
either.
with water in it.
Yeah, so anyway, and this was it all came off of our new website. They saw it, the tour director saw it,
And this was through American State Bank, one of the tours that they put together.
It was a mystery tour, so people didn't know where they were going when
And
they
they,
signed up for it.
really? And they did enjoy it?
They seem to. It was a full bus, no cancellations.
Kudos to both of you guys. That's wonderful. I know you both put a lot of time into it and volunteer time. So, thank you from the county.
well, and I also think it was due to our new website.
Is where this
So I'm
started
hoping
originating.
that this makes the second group now, so hopefully in the next year or two, we'll have
Some people coming in.
a group
And
every
you-
week.
And you got fed at the Henderson House? Is that what, did you stop
We did eat
there?
there. I wasn't with them at that point in the tour. I met them for donuts and coffee, or cinnamon rolls and coffee early in the morning, and welcomed them and gave them kind of an overview of what's happening in the county and so forth. But I didn't spend the entire day with them. At one point I passed the baton and they Clayton spent the rest of the day with them. or
Yeah,
good
it was
from
kind of
that
an
anyway.
eating tour.
Well,
They finished up the Wheatlands Cafe with pie and coffee at 4 o'clock or so.
Well, keep them fed and keep them happy, right? All right, that's great. Thank you.
Well, it's like that one lady from Denver said people travel on their belly, and these people did.
Yeah, well, good. Good.
Thank you, Carolyn.
The
Thank you.
assistance with that.
Okay, Joe, how much time do you need?
I'm gonna say 20 minutes.
Executive session?
Do you guys want to stay or?
Do you want the new business
What
today?
was it? Here, then,
I'll leave it up to the board.
You guys.
I'm here. I think one of them has decided he didn't.
I think you've already, I think
Okay.
So you
you've
need executive
already
session
heard the
for,
gist of it anyway, so,
Yeah.
okay.
Are
Okay,
you making the do I have a motion?
make a motion, we have an executive session for 20 minutes to discuss non-elected personnel.
I'll second that motion.
Been moved and seconded, we're going to executive session for 20 minutes for non-elected personnel. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried.
I don't see anybody.
We're in. Do you have anything else?
No, I just wanted to make sure that we're all on the same page for that tax sale.
I think we are.
Mhm.
I hope it all works out the way you think it's supposed to.
Well,
That's your job.
sometimes we're stuck interpreting statutes that are just poorly written.
Yeah. Obviously. Okay. All right, Joe, thank you very much. What have you got for us?
I have a proposal from Imagine Designs, who developed our website, and we have I'll just read this. We have a very state-of-the-art website for a good price, and what she's wanting to do is to go to use a template from WordPress to where, and I didn't read all of this because it's 50 items of departments. And I guess the idea behind this, it makes it easier for each department head to put their stuff on the website. And there is a fee involved. And the requirements, we have to have a 56 modem, a broadband, a browser, and monitor and so on and so forth. But the end result is the WordPress theme template will be purchased. The cost will depend on template selected, that should be approximately from $12 to $70 is the one-time charge. Web hosting, somewhere between $887 to $1,020 per year. If we agree to this, the payment for this project is $887, and then the professional fee is if they have to add something, is $35 an hour. And the payment terms for this project is $887 due upon project inception, and the remainder estimated at $0 to $133 upon completion of the overall project. And it's something that Wyandotte County is using now, and a lot of counties are using this template.
So we have to go in and make our own website?
No, you just put in your information, like the tax sale.
Well, you don't put anything on there.
Then there won't be anything in there.
This is basically what she was talking about when she was here a month ago, right? This is just a follow-up on that?
Right.
Where she was having, I'm so good at this. Wasn't she having like moving multiple pictures and
Oh, sliders.
things like that? Which,
Flash
Make it
players.
more interesting
Yeah.
to see.
Yeah.
that's what she's proposing here?
That's the template that needs to be purchased, so this can be done, is my understanding. Is that the right terminology, Ron?
Yes, sir, it's a WYSIWYG, and what it is she's providing you with the structure of it and the ability to input individually into it, as well as do standard design in it. So the template is the standardization of the design throughout the website.
And this site, or this template is being used worldwide.
Yeah.
So it's something that is not a Windows-based thing, or Microsoft. And so anyway, we can...
How many hits did you say we was having on our website the last time she was here? Might be more when we said it up to you.
I think the election created a lot of interest, but yeah, it was a lot. At least compared to where we were at. Yeah. I don't remember
It doesn't say. You can go, they did mention that current website has had Google Analytics running since December 4th of 2010. We have a great deal of historical information to help us determine what pages were visited, how long the user spent on the page, and much more. So I can email her and get those
This
numbers.
is basically a one-time cost. Is that,
Yeah.
did I understand
But
that?
aren't you gonna have every year a charge for the hosting?
Yeah,
Should be.
There should be, or
yeah, normally it is, you put.
Yeah, that should be your annual cost on it.
What we have right now is 68 web pages. The existing website map consists of 68. The following are the top 50 pages for perspective of the actual visits, and they're listed from, well, all of the departments in the courthouse. EMS, county health, hospital, marriage license, zoning tag, attorney, driver's license, clerk's office, frequently asked questions, duties of the election officer, weed department.
Okay, why don't you find out what's got,
What the annual
fee
cost
yes,
is
and
after
so we
this
have an idea.
initial, yeah.
Well, I think you need to talk to your department heads too. Is they're gonna be responsible for updating their own web pages and all that stuff? Some will bite into it, and most of us won't.
But how else would you update them?
Well, now we just send the stuff to her and she does it,
I think you still can. I think this just allows you to,
if you want to.
if you want to. If that's, but I'm not sure.
That's what we need to find out. So that's-
I don't think
Because,
it's
most of
gonna,
us, don't know how to do stuff like that,
Right.
and we don't.
I don't think this is gonna
Have time
deny
to
you
learn
your
and-
services. I think it's just
Okay.
gonna allow you to.
Well, that's what I wondered,
It's
because
just easier, or
you might want
gives
to
you more,
because
whatever.
I won't.
Gives you the option, you can
The
still
only thing
pay
that,
her
the only thing that I
$35.
remember her saying is that we need to.
Said you can still have her do it for $35 an hour is what it sounded like, and that's really quite reasonable for somebody that knows
It
what
is,
they're
isn't
doing.
it? I know Carolyn was getting charged 85 or 95 for her website.
Well, that's because she didn't shop it and got taken to the cleaners.
I know.
But the gal that's doing your website, to put it in perspective, she's saying she's got 68 pages that she's generated on the website. To generate a page, the original setup is about $100 to $150 per page to actually set the page up initially. So you're looking at a $10,000 website that she set up for you already.
So this is very reasonable, what she's proposing.
Yeah. Yeah, it's extraordinarily reasonable for, in the real realm of web design.
Well, it's not nice when you have a sheriff. I mean, that's,
Apparently it's working.
it didn't have anything to, everything said, website's not kept up to date, it's
Benefits
just
from it.
not very useful anyhow.
This, as long as we got a good tour guide.
Well, I asked her what, after the initial setup, what the fee would be.
And ask if the county department's heads have to do it, or can they still do it through her?
I can still hire her.
Like you've been doing,
Hmm?
like you've been doing now.
Mhm.
Basically, yeah, they can continue like they are. Yeah.
So, yeah.
I'd be interested in how many hits she got.
She got that information.
I'm sure she
And I
does.
don't have that.
She tries to talk to me about it, but I just.
I'll look it up when I get home.
All right, well, I have nothing.
One thing I have to do is this.
Joe, do you have anything else?
No, I'm gonna get the yard sign, language for Nita, I guess.
And then,
That's actually not a bad idea, if you stop and think
No,
about it.
it
Well,
really
let the neighbors see that it's
Oh, that's 'cause
available,
I'm
and if
gonna-
they
Yeah, I
live
think
right
that
there.
was a good idea, I never thought about that, but just,
And I can
everybody
ask
know
them.
it's right there next to them too, so.
What I've done in the past is I've sent little notes out to neighbors saying, hey, that eyesore next to you, it's coming up.
Just where people will have their ideas and know where it's at.
Because the one thing, you gotta remember that all these people who are insomniacs and watch late night TV and they watch this get rich quick through tax foreclosures, that's not gonna happen. There's no gems out there, no hidden gems.
Or adjourn.
Apparently, yes.
Let's adjourn, huh?